What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Let's Play Hiveswap Friendsim for the third time. My third playthrough of Hiveswap Friendsim, in which instead of playing by myself or sending photos to a friend, I'm making a commentary YouTube series out of it. Because why not, right? We're almost to the end at this point, which is pretty exciting. Potential spoiler warning for Homestuck proper. This game, Pesterquest, Hiveswap, not as much Act 2, still haven't finished Act 2. And some Homestuck fanfics, including my own. Go read my fanfic, it's good, I promise. Character voices may be inconsistent, especially because today I believe is Fozzer, and I don't know how the fuck you can enunciate underscores. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks. It's a whole month. Probably just take us into 2021. But actually, before we get... There's Mr. Big Titty Clown. Before we get super in, I just wanted to say I have decided I am probably going to do the Hiveswap Act 1 playthrough, and then Pesterquest, and then Act 2, and who knows, by the time I finish Pesterquest, maybe Act 3 will be out. One could dream, right? Now, I might have actually already started these by the time this video comes out. I'm not sure. I have my finals this Thursday, so we'll see how that goes. But I am hoping to soon start streaming Stardew Valley either each Thursday evening or every other Thursday evening, or just, the streams would be on Thursday evenings. I call them streams. I might just do pre-recorded videos. I might not. I'm probably going to do a test stream, either this or next Thursday, which, as in this or next Thursday, at the time I'm recording this, not next Thursday, by the time you're seeing this. I'll probably do a stream or two to test, and then I'll either continue with that, or I will switch to doing pre-recorded videos, with the basic idea being I would model my avatar, or farmer, not avatar, my farmer after a Homestuck character, probably either Jade or Rose. I haven't decided. I already have a Jade farm, so I'm leaning towards Rose, but there's also a separate sort of behind the scenes thing that I want to do with it. We'll figure it out, but I would probably also play Homestuck music. I'd probably gather a playlist of some nice Homestuck music, and the Stardew Valley music is wonderful and fantastic. But in the spirit of Homestuck, I might play Homestuck music instead of the Stardew Valley soundtrack. And I don't know whether or not I'll be on mic. I've grown a lot more comfortable being on mic over the course of making this series, but I'm not sure if Stardew Valley requires that, if that makes sense. I think it would depend on whether or not I'm doing pre-recorded videos or streams. I feel like if I'm doing streams, I might be less likely to do mic unless there is a larger audience so that there'd actually be comments. But if I do pre-recorded videos, it might be like the occasional mic, like me reading like cutscene dialogue, not like the stuff everybody says on day-to-day basis, maybe like the first 1 or 2 times. But once you get to that point where, like, everyone just says the same thing to you every day, I'll have to see. Like I said, I'll probably try out some streams. If I end up not liking how the streams are going, I'll do pre-recorded videos. We'll get there when I get there. Today, we're going to watch a man get brain kidnapped. You crash-landed at Alternia 16 long episodes ago, and sometimes you feel like you've been here forever. You've had many adventures and met many Alternians, some/all/none of whom have become your friends. But now, for some reason, you have a hunch that you're near the end of your Alternian travels. For one thing, you seem to be coming to the edge of the populated region you've been walking through all the time you've been here. For another, the intense craving that has animated you throughout your journey feels like it might be waning. It's not quite gone, but like a diner who stretched himself to bursting but is still seeking that last sweet morsel that will make his meal complete, you're still on the prowl for that very sweetest morsel of friendship. Fozzer time. Mr. Big, he's so He's so skinny. Anyway, Fozzer time. The night has turned foggy, and you can't see far in any direction, but you seem to be surrounded on every side by bare ground, hummocked and pitted almost like a weird abstract sculpture and covered with greenish moss. Based on the experience you've had with Alperidian flora, you imagine the moss is probably poisonous, acidic, explosive, or something of that nature. Oh, also, if you hear laundry noises, sorry, my sister's running the laundry. I'm coughing suddenly. Not COVID coughing, like it's dry as fuck here coughing. Suddenly a shadow looms up out of the darkness, making you jump. But it's only a leading signpost. As you move closer, you can see that the sign says, "Welcome to Happy Absence Pit Park." I don't know how to translate that. Before you can figure out what that might be, you hear a voice muttering to itself in the fog and a sound like dirt being shoveled. I don't know how to enunciate underscores. Or his accent. Whoops. So, I paused. I went to go read his wiki to see if I could, like, come up with a good idea for a voice for him, but, that didn't help. Although now I know his root. Excuse me. And also, his sign is called the Sign of the Lost. So, do with that information what you will. Shovel, shovels, toil and trouble. Lowblood of the world, unite! Move cautiously toward the voice until the figure of a troll emerges from the fog. He seems to be digging in the hard, bare ground. There is a tide in the affairs of trolls which, taken at the flood, leads on the worker's paradise. You clear your throat, and the troll turns swiftly. Who's there? Who's there, I say? You announce soothingly that you're just a poor, wayfaring stranger. Why, his shovel is so pointy. Is this how shovels actually are? Like, with these giant fucking spikes? Not a ghost or any nonsense like that. You confirm that you are not. Good, because I don't believe in them. I'm dialectal materialist. Well, if you're not a ghost, what are you? Who are you? You explain that you're a humble alien who recently, well, not so recently, crashed on Eternia, who's been looking ever since for... Here you blush the trail off into a mumble. The troll snorts and comes close to study you. His breath is not of the freshest, because he's been eating dirt, probably. An alien. Well, you are the color of cheese, but it could be makeup. You could be a highblood in disguise, come to watch poor little Fozzer Velius pursuing his humble profession to protruber for some unknown reason of your own. My tongue hurts. It's been hurting since yesterday. We're running with it, but ouch. The background moves. I feel like I knew that already, but now I'm just like watching to see a loop. Fozzer rubs at the exposed skin of your arm to see if the makeup will come off. It doesn't, but he's still suspicious. Ability to know what outer space is like. Describe outer space to me. Okay, it moves back and forth. I see. You describe attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion, and watching sea beams glitter in the dark near the Tannhauser Gate. You express the belief that all these moments will be lost in time like tears in the rain. These authentic depictions seem to satisfy Fozzer. Fozzer? How have I been saying this? Fozzer. He nods his head and seems to think. He doesn't appear to be a fast thinker. Finally, he seems to have an idea. Do the chief entities where you come from have a strong consciousness of class struggle? You have no idea what he's talking about. You were always good at guessing the right answer on multiple choice tests. You sure heard that the people you come from have such a strong consciousness of class struggle that they use it to jack up their cars when they get flat tires. His big smile overspread Father's face, and he pumps his fists in the air. You ever just... This is... One of the many... So many of the later roots. Specifically the later roots, I say, only because it seems like they get sadder as you go on. I mean, like, our dada's root makes me want to throw up a little bit, but... I don't know. I think he gets his whole personality wiped, and that's just like, what the fuck, dude? That was my dog boofing. Pleased to meet you, comrade alien. All power to the workers. I imagine that finding me before me the honest labor of working class makes you feel right at home. You assure him that it does. Kinda does, honestly. I'm lucky enough to do retail work, but I suppose that you wish you could share in the simple proletarian joys and sorrows of the attorney oppressed classes. You're not sure what proletarian means, but sharing joys and sorrows sounds like a hopeful prelude to friendship. So you say we're just kind of thinking that you'd like to share that kind of joys and sorrows. Easily done, comrade. Here, take this soil perturbation lens. You could enter into solidarity with the alternative working class right now. Don't thank me. Freedom, brotherhood, and equality is my motto. Conduct your perturbations right here, if you please. I can't believe Fozzer is going to kill me. He points to where he was shoveling, and you begin shoveling there too. The moss that covers the ground is tough as leather, and the Alternian soil is rocky, hard, and unforgiving. No surprise there. And before long, you're sweating profusely. But no exertion is too great for the pursuit of friendship. Fozzer watches your labor with brotherly satisfaction. Class solidarity is a wonderful thing, isn't it? From each of his, according to his ability, to each according to his need. You look like a walking cheese, but your muscular development is impressive. So just pass the time while you labor in you labor in solidarity. What do you think of your planet? What has been your impression of it on your visit from outer space? To get the first bad ending, you suppose it's no worse than a lot of places with some good points and some bad. As a guest, it's only polite to say a nice thing about your host's home planet. Besides, meeting Fozzer has stoked your desire for a sweet friendship morsel, and a little praise and flattery often goes a long way to make people like you. So, with the little breath you have to spare from your digging, you tell Fozzer that you found Alternia most interesting. The fierce rush of life here induces a I can't talk today. Let's start that over. So, with the little breath you have to spare from your digging, you tell Fozzer that you found Alternia most interesting. The fierce rush of life in here induces salutary wakefulness, and boredom is virtually unknown. Also, the social structure arising from the hue spectrum and the multidimensional relationship matrix is very unusual, producing a fascinating array of possible interactions among people. You are looking forward to the day when you can tell your grandchildren about it. But Fozzer doesn't look as pleased as you'd hoped. He's very round. He's a round boy. He's got round horns, he's got round off teeth, and he's got round hands. So you find Alternia agrees with you. Oh yes, very much, you can't. You find it interesting and fascinating? Definitely. Do you expect those who happen to have been born with certain blood colors exploiting and oppressing those who have not is just a picturesque detail? Well, you wouldn't go as far as to... You find nothing objectionable in society where the strong kill the weak at will based on nothing more than the color of a bodily fluid, where the upper class hate the lowers more than inanimate objects whose only purpose is to serve them, where the whole corrupt society is structured solely to breed cannon fodder for a psychotic empress's mad plan to conquer the entire galaxy, more peoples to oppress? That's certainly wasn't what you... Well, the streets run with rust, orange, and gold blood. You said unconsidered remark how interesting and fascinating Alternia is. Well, the fish people and their bluish lackeys strike the pap from the mouths of the lowblood wrigglers. You smile pleasantly and remark how unusual Alternia is. Certainly not, but one can't judge other cultures by one's own... Oh, you can't judge your class responsibility that way, you cur. Your so-called intellectuals try to hide your fawning servility to the bosses pretending to view society objectively without moral judgments, when all the time you're simply crypto-imperious lapdogs. And you came to the Happy Absence Pits Park pretending solidarity with the oppressed. Pshaw! I see now that you're nothing but a cat's paw at the oppressor class. Nothing but a cheese-colored Judas Icarius, sentenced by traitor, bootlicker, suffocant, murderer, monopolist, profiteer, slave trader, cannibal, parasite, technocrat, gangster, ectoplasm. No, you try to object, but Fozzer seizes the shovel from you and turns away. Turncoat, narc, double-cross a weasel, hijack a vulture, Visigoth breathalyzer. some of those don't make sense, which I suppose is the point. But you know. You watch his back recede into the fog, your heart sinking with the wreck of your hopes and dreams for friendship. Game over. Excuse me. We done screwed up? I don't feel qualified to remark on that, so... Oh, okay. We just won't. Give me a moment to return back to the choice. That didn't take very much time. So instead, it's by far the worst place you've ever seen or heard of. The feeling comes over you suddenly that nothing can be more important than truth. Truth is at the foundation of all real friendship. Truth sets you free. Honesty is the best policy. Last episode, we lied to Wanshi to save her life. So you take a deep breath and say that you hope you won't give offense, but that in your opinion, Alternia is the nastiest, ugliest, cruelest, most inhospitable, and most unfair place you've ever seen or heard of in the long life of travel and study. Even the plants are bloodthirsty. Even the soil is hard and mean. You've made some/many/no friends here, but you've heard it's also possible to make friends with lions, bears, killer whales, and other wild and dangerous creatures. In fact, often here in Alternia, you felt that you've been locked in a cage with a bunch of such wild and dangerous creatures. As you've talked, you've been watching Fozzer anxiously for signs of anger. You're surprised to see that instead he seems to be loving it. And what about our political system? You already put your foot in it, so you're going ahead and put the other one in too. You express the opinion that a violent, rigidly stratified insectile social structure created solely to generate soldiers for a mad project to conquer the entire galaxy might raise eyebrows in some quarters. There's so much talking. The corners of my mouth are dying. You admire natural selection and survival of the fittest as much as the next person, but this is overkill on a titanic scale. As you've been speaking, Fozzer's smile has grown wider and wider, and he showed other signs of approval, such as jumping up and down and whirling around. He pumps his fist in the air. Forward to perfect socialism. It's so good to talk with someone who hasn't been hypnotized from regularhood with counter-revolutionary pap. Someone who sees conditions understood for what they really are, who sees the evil of the highbloods. Someone who will march in the vanguard of the workers' revolution to face unflinchingly the onslaught of the aristocracy, perhaps, nay, probably to die in a hail of bullets, but never to turn their back on the people. Let me embrace you, comrade alien. He does so. He's oily, and smells like mossy soil, and poor ooze. This does not dampen your spirits. What a better preamble for making a suggestion of friendship. Agreeing with people about politics never fails to bring friendship closer. I almost said politics closer. But before you can bring it up, Fozzer, having first kissed you on both cheeks, continues. But we must allow our celebration of the people's revolution to interfere with the honest labor that enables us. I am holding you back from your ticket to workers' paradise. Please receive your soil perturbation. All power to the people, death to arbitrary heliospectral discrimination. Forward, comrade. He waves his hand with a flourish, and you start digging again. You wonder if it would be just as revolutionary if you traded placers, so Fozzer could do the digging and you could do the speechifying, but you don't want to disturb the perfect harmony now existing between the two of you. Instead, you use your little available breath to inquire what all this soil perturbation is innate of. What a coal pit. Why, a coal pit, of course. Done she's designed. This is the Happy Absent Pit Park, Fozzer Vele's proprietor. Alternia's reactionary tradition is to just dig. No, start over. Alternia's reactionary tradition is just to put dig coal pits anywhere without a second thought, but our revolutionary future demands that we have more respect for the dance, so we've created this wonderful innovation, the Pit Park. There's a clown concert being held not far from here, so I anticipate a brisk demand shortly. Best to be ready for these things. Having a lot of dead clowns laying around, rotting on the property is unpleasant, not to mention unsanitary. Get them to the underground pronto is our motto here at the Happy Absence Pit Park. You're wondering privately Whether a little class solidarity can be extended to purple bloods, remembering your dear friend Carrico Period, when Fozzer seems to give a jump. Only Carrico, though. Know that it's not ghosts. Grateful for an excuse to stop digging, you turn to look in the direction Fozzer is staring, leaning on your soil perturbation lance. You don't see anything but fog. You ask, what is not ghosts? Nothing is, I'm but dialectical materialist, and if any ghosts come around to the Happy Absent Pit Park, they should be aware that I won't believe in them, so they might as well go somewhere else. I totally forgot that that's a Rust thing, like being able to see the souls of the dead. So I wonder if he, like, it's so, ghosts are canon, and that's so weird to me. Also because, I had to Google what a dialectical materialist is. Excuse me. I Googled it for you again. I'm not going to show the definition, but I will just read it to you. So dialectical materialism is the Marxist theory adopted as the official philosophy of the Soviet communists that political and historical events result from the conflict of social forces and are interpretable as a series of contradictions and their solutions. So this conflict is believed to be caused by material needs. As far as I can tell, it has nothing to do with ghosts. He's just like that. You confess that you don't see anything but foggy darkness and humped and pitted ground where you now guess piles of cold Eternians' exoskeletons are buried in the coal pits. You don't see any ghosts because there's no such thing, but the past few nights I thought I saw beams of light shining up out of the ground. Almost as if, metaphorically of course, some of the exoskeletons in the coal pit gotten hold of some flashlights and were shining them up through chinks in the soil. Look, there it is again. This time, you see it. A column of light that flashes up through the fog and is gone. That seeming to come from a crack in the ground, which it briefly illuminates in blinding white. Fascinated, you move toward the crack, which is now dark and invisible again. What are you doing? You look at Fozzer in surprise. He seems terrified. You ask tactfully whether he doesn't think you ought to see what it is. For example, it could be some infrastructure malfunction that could blow the Happy Absence Pit Park and all its inhabitants, living and dead, sky high. You're not even sure they have infrastructure in Alternia, but one can't be too careful. Well, maybe you're right. We are for those revolutionary comrades, cadres, after all. You can hear his teeth chattering. You move toward where you think the flash came from, Fozzer close behind you, peering over your shoulder. You can't help wondering where he'll be when the vanguard of his revolution is braving hails of bullets. Excuse me. That's going to be on while I'm editing. You very much hope that his revolution, if it ever comes, won't happen while you're around. I'm going to put a flashing light warning on this. Just then, a whole series of lights flash silently up from the ground, making columns through the fog. Fozzer jumps and howls behind you. Non-existent. You tell him there's undoubtedly a logical explanation. Though you have to admit you had a weird feeling just now when the lights appeared. Like a momentary dizziness or feeling of discontinuity. But you're more curious now than ever. Murmuring comforting things to Fozzer, you start digging around where the lights you saw the lights you just saw came from. I'm gonna Sorry, I just like his music. I think it's nice. Then it's weird. Because you break through some kind of thin crust, as if the soil in that particular place is just a few inches thick over the brittle surface that your shovel goes right through like old pottery. You wonder where you've inadvertently dug into an old coal pit. But what would bright light be doing coming out of an old coal pit? And in some weird way, it doesn't feel like a coal pit. It feels like something metaphysical. Like reality itself is particularly thin right in that spot, and you've broken through the very fabric of it with your soil perturbation lance. You dig around the edges of the hole, enlarging it until it's about a foot wide. The darkness within the darkness of the Alternian night seemed bright by comparison. It's so dark that the soil falling into it and the part of your soil perturbation lance poking into it seemed to vanish completely, as if on the other side of that hole, reality itself gives out. You and Fozzer stare curiously down into this hole. Suddenly, a blinding but strangely blank light bursts up out of the hole into your faces, and at the same time there's a deafening sound, which seems to vibrate the very framework of reality, like a gigantic needle scratching a gigantic record. Crunch! You're standing in the foggy night, holding a soil perturbation lance that has been handed to you by Fozzer Vilius. He points where he's just been digging, and you begin digging in the same place. The moss that covers the ground is tough as leather, and the Alternian soil is rocky, hard, and unforgiving. No surprise there, and before long you're sweating profusely. But you feel strange, like you were just standing somewhere else, doing something else, seeing something else. The after images of blinding light and a deafening sound seem to linger in your eyes and ears, but around you is nothing but dark fog and bare ground, humped and pitted. You must have had an easy spell. You shake it off and begin pertubing the soil. No exertion is too great for the pursuit of friendship, after all. Fozzer watches you with satisfaction. I'll show you a cool thing when I finish up this ending. Honest work is a wonderful thing. All hail the old regime, eh? You look like a walking cheese, but your muscular development is impressive. What do you think of our planet? What has been your impression of it on your visit? It's by far the worst place you've ever seen or heard of. I have to read this again. The feeling comes over you suddenly that nothing is be more important than truth. Truth is at the foundation of all real friendship. Truth sets you free. Honesty is the best policy, even though just last episode we lied to a 12-year-old to save her life. I guess we did end up telling her the truth in the end. Speak with a deep breath and say that you hope you won't give offense, but in your opinion, Alternia is the nastiest, ugliest, cruelest, most inhospitable, and most unfair place you've ever seen or heard of in a long life of travel and study. Even the plants are bloodthirsty. Even the soil is hard and mean. You've made no friends here, but you've heard it's also possible to make friends with lions, bears, killer whales, and other wild and dangerous creatures. In fact, sometimes you're in Alternia. You feel that you've been locked into a cage with a bunch of such wild and dangerous creatures. I wonder if that's about Nikki's room. Also, don't care if her name is Nike. I'm going to call her Nikki. No doubt you could have anticipated that blunt, honest like this would give offense, and indeed it seems to have done so. As you finish your remarks, Fozzer is frowning darkly. So you've come to Alternia as an uninvited guest and to criticize and judge our civilization, eh? But no. You know enough about our society, our billions of years of evolution, and our painstaking rise from mud-dwelling insectal ancestors, the political and sociological theories of our statesmen, philosophers, and scientists to make those judgments, do you? Well, no doubt you've done studies establishing it would be happen if the human spectrum groups were placed in different relations to one another. If, for example, rustbloods were the highest and fusebloods the lowest. No one tell post-anomaly Fozzer about blood swaps. Well, no, but I suppose your planet has so similar to Alternia that you have firm basis on which to apply your preconceptions to us. Not at all, but... And surely your aliens are similar to biological and psychological tools to know how we feel about our own society? I thought not. I guessed from the very first that you were nothing but a delightful socialist pseudo-intellectual spouting your ivory tower theories without the least idea what you were talking about. Real Sporty Pants Alien suggests that you take your cheese-like person and your theories home to your own planet. It won't be long for her most high imperial condescension conquers your arm of the galaxy so that we Alternians can return the favor by stating an own judgment over your society and politics. In the meantime, I bid you good Siderean. And with that, Fozzer seizes his loyal perturbation lance, as well as your hopes and dreams, and stalks off into the foggy night. And this time he flips us off. At least I think he's flipping you off. He's trying his best. Also, his boots looked like they were painted on. Give me a second to prepare the thing that I was going to show you. Anyway, I feel like I'm having a good time. So here is a little bit of Beyond the Divide Chapter 8. Hopefully, by the time this video comes out, I will have published it. But on the off chance it takes me a week to finish it, here's a little piece. It's from Dave's perspective. They're finally having a sleepover and they're watching a movie. So, Mysterious is in a letter from a seemingly lost touch relative. Damn, I thought it was going to be mysterious disappearances. There's no reason for it to be mysterious disappearances, though, June adds in. You turn to see where she's stopped painting Rose's nails with a sparkling holographic magenta and made a duh face. Aubrey's not a detective. Mysterious disappearances have no effect on her career. A beckoning letter from a long-lost relative is much more intriguing to a young magician out on her own for the first time. Rose examines her nails as she talks, nonchalant and pretending to consider what colors to put on her other hand, especially out to what I presume is some kind of enchanted forest. June makes a waving motion with one hand. She doesn't know it's enchanted yet, just that it's a small town in West Virginia. I don't know what a West Virginia is, but I still stand by mysterious disappearances being the better plot point, you say, and you'd cross your arms to make your point, but you have a pastry in your hand and you don't want to crush it. I just like that line. So now let's see if it's saved. This is actually, this is probably going to be one of the shortest episodes in a while. Oh. I mean, I'm not using them, but my saves. And that's right before game over. I guess give me another second. Anyway, we're back to say yes. You suppose it's no worse than a lot of places, with some good points and some bad. As a guest, it's only polite to say nice things about your host's home planet. Besides, meeting Fozzer has stoked your desire for a sweet friendship morsel, and a little praise and flattery often goes a long way to make people like you. So with the little breath you have to spare from your digging, you tell Fozzer that you found Alternia most interesting. The fierce rush of life here induces a salutary wakefulness, and boredom is virtually unknown. Also, the social structure arising from the hemospectrum and the multidimensional relationship matrix is very unusual, producing a fascinating array of possible interactions among people. You're looking forward to the day when you can tell your grandchildren about it. As you're speaking, a satisfied smile overspreads Fozzer's face. I'm glad you recognize the nobility of our ancient society with its orderly hierarchy and naturally evolved degrees of privilege reflecting naturally evolved degrees of ability. You're pleased that your words have met with approval, but you're still a little troubled. You have an odd deja vu sensation that this whole exchange could have gone quite differently. Maybe even did go quite differently sometime in the past or in some parallel universe. You inquired timidly whether the total domination of the lower bloods by the higher on Alternia doesn't sometimes feel like oppression. Never. Myself and only breastplate, so I lack the privileges of the higher bloods, but the most important thing for a society is that everyone should be in their appointed place and do the things they're suited for. If all the passengers on rowboat kept their seats and row in the same direction, the boat will quickly reach its destination, but if all the passengers jump up and start running around and grabbing onto others' oars, the boat will capsize and all will be lost. You remark, diplomatically, that Alternia isn't a rowboat rowing toward a destination. You're wrong! A rowboat is very much like a rowboat advancing through the black water of space, and as for our destination, all of us Alternia aim at but a single goal every hour of the day, to serve her most high imperial condensation in conquering her glorious galaxy-wide empire. Long live the Empress! 90% sure I said condensation. It's condescension. But also fuck her. So. Well, you suppose the sense of being part of something larger than yourself makes up for a lot. It does. And naturally evolved systems are almost always more robust than artificially designed ones. They are. And it's true that Alternia's social structure does bring some semblance of order to a collection of 12 disparate troll subtypes. It is. Fozzer beams at you fondly. There's nothing that warms the heart like someone who thinks you're right about everything. It's so wonderful to find someone who looks like a piece of cheese, who is so intelligent and understands society and politics so perfectly, finally, a true friend. Victory! Boy, did he get brainwashed. Fuck Doc Scratch. Fuck the highbloods. I don't feel qualified to say further things about this route because it has a lot of politics, dealings, and readings that I have not done in my life just yet. So next episode is Mr. Big Titty Clown. I thought about bringing the Fago in, but I probably won't because that's out in my car and I have to do something before I record the next episode. Yeah, I feel unqualified to talk about this episode. So I guess I'll see you in the next one. Bye.